everybody. Judea Hartley here. Happy Thursday once again. Welcome back into the one and only, because there's only one, AM show. And as you guys can tell, my enthusiasm, y'all, has heightened because at the top of the show, we tease a flat-out fantastic guest that I am super stoked to be sitting here chatting with. We have boss and CEO Eric Keith here himself. He is the CEO of his own media company entitled the Quintessential Gentleman. And y'all, I cannot wait to pick his brain about how he is the prominent storyteller for men of color, just really telling stories of faith, endurance, hope, love, perseverance. You name it, he tells it. So wherever you are, I want you to infuse that enthusiasm. Stand to your feet if you can and show your love for my new friend, Mr. Eric Keith.
I feel like I need to stand up.
Yeah.
Look at the energy. I love it. Thank you, Judea. This
Thank
is amazing.
You. Thank you. Thank you for carving out time out of your busy schedule. I respect what you do. I respect who you are. I respect the foundation that you've built in the media world. So this is an honor for you to sit here and chat with me. And y'all, before we get into this outfit, y'all know I'm gonna be Judea wherever I go. Let's get into this fit, because you didn't have to step on our necks like that. Y'all, yeah, that's right. Let's get, I love your look.
Thank you. Yeah, this is my stylist, Chris Holmes. Make sure everything that you see me put on, it's always him that makes sure I'm clean, I'm good. And as CEO, entrepreneur, is one less thing I have to think about. So I'm okay with that. I'm appreciative.
Yes, I'm telling you, he's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Eric. So let's get into the meat of this sandwich. When I was communicating with Christopher, who's also my good friend, I love him. Christopher, I was super stoked that he had recommended you as a guest for us to interview. And then I began to scrub your socials and do my research, and I was floored. I was floored because what you're doing is that you're perpetuating these narratives. You're bringing them to the forefront, and these are stories that aren't told, that need to be told. So right here, you guys, in my hand, I have the magazine, the Quintessential Gentleman, and they are so great back there. They're getting ready to get a close-up. There we go. Oh, yes, y'all. I love it. We are going to chat all about this. So let's start with the name. I love the Quintessential Gentleman. Where'd that come from?
It actually came from my frat brother. So I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay. Wait, so I'm in my room and I go, Gamma Psi. That's something different, but go ahead. I don't know why I do that. Gamma Psi. Let you be quiet. You're not in a fraternity. You're not. Okay.
But yeah, so we were just conversing one day and just talking about, I came up with this idea, wanted to create this platform that really focuses on the positive stories of Black men, but also really about trying to figure out what things do they need to be able to grow, to prosper, to be better men and be more progressive. And he was like, what about the Quintessential Gentleman? Quintessential is the highest, the best, the top class. And although I always tell people it's an aspirational publication, it's something that, you may not be there, but you're aspiring to be there. And it's just about the Quintessential Gentleman. It's about a man that's trying to be great, trying to be the best that he can be.
I love that. Oh my goodness, I love that. And that, just perfect segue, because Nadine and I were chatting on the camera earlier today. And during your introduction at the top of the show, she was saying, Judea, I just feel like men in today's generation get really pushed to the side. So with that, and I agree, I really, really agree. So with that being said, what do you hope the Quintessential Gentleman will achieve?
I want it to be really a space where men can see themselves, but then also see aspirations, like I've said before, but also try to see the success stories of other men that look like them, right? I feel like all the times, or a lot of times, you have these aspirations from, people that don't necessarily look like them.
Yeah.
People who are really, really successful, but don't necessarily have the same income, come from the same hometown. But when you read our magazine, you'll read that these stories from these Black men or men of color they just like you, have the same vernacular that you have, the upbringing, and it's so important for us to be able to share those things because it's not being shared anywhere else. I always tell people, name another black publication that focuses on black men. And then people have to think, and then they pick it apart, and then some may have black men on the side that they talk about maybe a couple times during their quarter, but all of ours is always focusing on telling those stories.
Yeah, I love that. That storytelling, being able to really create your own table and then pull up a chair. And then pull up a chair for our other brothers to really take part in. And Eric, you're so right. Because I feel like other young boys of color and men of color, they will gain inspiration from your magazine because they can see themselves. They can see themselves in the men that you're uplifting. It's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. So this magazine not only spews positivity and inspiration, but it's also inclusivity. And that's what I like, inspiring other people to really achieve what you guys have already achieved. Just really, really being that example. So I want you to take me back to the genesis. Take me back to the beginning of your journey. When did you create this media publication and why did you feel like it was a need to do so?
So we actually went live in 2016, started coming up with the idea late 2015. And in the news, it was when videotaping of black men being shot by police were starting to hit social media and a lot of the videos, and all I see was just this narrative, black men being killed or black men incarcerated. There's another component as well, which is black men don't want to be a part of their families, are not fathers, or don't want to be proud to be fathers. And my father loves me. I don't have that same background, and I know these particular stories are not all of the stories that black men focus on. So at that point, I said, you know what, let me just do a little blog. I'll start something out. I never knew it was going to be a magazine. I wasn't really interested in a magazine per se. I just really wanted to create a site where I could tell these stories, and then it just kind of snowballed. I started to get inquiries from people saying, can you feature our client? Can you interview us? We would like for you to come to our event to cover, and all of those type of things. So then we started to grow to where we actually started, the first issue came out 2018. Now we do events, we partner with different publications, sponsors, brands, all of those type of things to, at the end of the day, just create content specifically for black men.
Yeah, you better! Let the church say amen. You better, Mr. Eric Keith. You sound like an R&B singer, by the way. I said, oh, he look a little bit like Keith Sweat, y'all.
Now also,
you do.
my boy, okay, he's not gonna let, he looking at me, he said, no, don't do it.
Hilarious. No, it really resonated with me what you just mentioned, because it's almost like, you are, Eric, working towards erasing the stigma of black men being absentee fathers, right? Being not taking care of their households. Even the system that we live in, the system is designed and built to exclude black men. It does. One of my favorite books is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. And she speaks to really imprisoning folks of color, even in the society, with jobs, with access, with opportunities, right? To work professionally, opportunities to build your own business. So I love that your media company works to erase that stigma. And you also mentioned your relationship with your father and him being present and him being healthy. We are going to cut to a video because your organization was actually interviewing DC Young Fly. And I took a snippet from your YouTube channel, and DC Young Fly, what he was saying correlated with what you just said, speaking of the importance of having men of color in the household. Let's take a look at that video, you guys.
Focus on a foundation, whatever it is that
you're an example. Sometimes you just got to lead by example just to show them, you know what I'm saying? And I like to send out positivity. So I don't mind showing my kids and showing people that I'm a father and that it's okay to be a father, because fathers don't get the highlight that we need, because it is a lot of great fathers out there. We just, you when you think about fathers, you think about deadbeats more than actual real fathers. We're not viewed as kings and, and having great masculinity. So, it's a lot of other stuff that's going on outside in the world that you just got to make sure that you tune out, and you got to make sure that your character is still intact. So I just try to make sure I'm giving out positivity.
I love that. How was that like, getting DC Young Fly?
I think people, you know, they have this persona that they've created of him on social media. Yeah, he jokes and stuff, but this man is a businessman.
Yep.
You know, he is a father and really is involved in his kids. And, you know, rest in peace to the mother of his child.
Yep.
But now he's like on over duty, and he's really doing it. And I think what we were able to take away from that Atlanta native was he grinded.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want negativity around him. And it all starts with the people around him, the people he associates with. And he has grown from the different levels of when he was younger to where he is now and understanding, okay, this is what I want for my life. This is what I want for my children. So I have to act this type of way. I have to be around these type of people. And it was just inspiring to have that conversation with them.
That inspired me. That inspired me as a Black woman, as a woman of color, because I don't like, let me tell you this, Eric, and I know you've seen it. I don't like this narrative that's going around on social media, and I have to be honest with you because I'm not biased. This narrative, in my opinion, is being created by women, and it's this independence my way. You know, you're gonna independence your way right into loneliness if you keep that up. No, you really are, Chris. You're so independent, and we don't need men, and men should buy everything for us, and we can just sit home and do anything. And he needs to plan everything. He needs to be the one that takes the initiative all the time. And it's not, if we're honest, it's not even biblical. It's not. God did make Adam, but he also made Eve to be the helpmeet. That means in my mind that I am designed, right, and molded to help you meet every need. So it's transactional. It's transactional. I do everything I can to dispel that myth that men around the world don't matter. So with that being said, in your opinion, what are some struggles that men of color face?
One, I feel like we just have not become accustomed to our own emotions.
Ooh.
Like, we have to really call a spade a spade. I feel that there's still the toxic masculinity that has now been perpetuated from generations. The good thing is that we are getting better. We are seeking therapy, dealing with our traumas. People so many times deal with their childhood traumas in adult age.
Ooh.
They're still going through that.
Yeah.
And I think Black men specifically, you have to be strong. You have to be the provider. You have to do, and that's so much weight on a man, and specifically a Black man who already has enough challenges outside of the home and then have to deal with that inside. So I always tell them the first thing that, for me, talking to you brothers right now, is you need to take care of yourself. You have to figure out how you're whole, and you have to heal. And if that is going to a therapist, which I recommend, I have my therapist, has been the best thing that ever happened in my life. If that's making sure you speak to someone, but then also the people that you have around them. You want to go with them to the club, you call them for that. You want to talk about girls, all those type of things. But what happens when you are dealing with, you know, depression, or you just lost your job and you're trying to figure out life? Are you still talking to those same people? And if you're not talking to those same people, you need to change up the people.
Yes, you better preach. You better encourage all of our brothers listening. It's so true, because oh God, I love what you said, Eric. I could talk to you all day. I really can, seriously. Because it's almost like this is what you're doing, creating safe spaces for men of color. It's like other men, they have outlets, right? Because, you know, we all grow up differently and we love everybody. And let's preach inclusivity and love and non-judgmental approaches to conversations. But everybody doesn't have the same reality. And that's just the truth that we live in. And you may have another brother or another sister may have an outlet. Maybe your family comes from wealth. Maybe you guys are a middle-class family. Maybe you were given permission to feel. You were given permission to cry. Your parents didn't have to work so hard, right? Because they already had money. So you saw your mama and your father at night. And when I find in my community, Black women, Black men, men of color, Far Rockaway, Queens, that's where I'm from, is that they aren't giving many pockets of safety. They aren't. And that's what you're doing here. So I know we have to take a quick commercial break in just a minute or two. But Eric, you're providing access. You're telling this story, the Quintessential Gentleman. Each issue is serving as an agent of change. I want to know, how can other men of color create access for themselves and for other men?
Well, for me, I always say this, and again, I'm talking directly to men at this point. if you know that you can help someone, help someone. I always say when there's a conversation, let's say for instance, another counterpart who's not black, you talk to them about a business deal and they know Joe over at this bank that can help. They'll say, oh, go talk to Joe. Tell him I sent you, he'll take care of you. Joe now respects the person that sent him over and make sure that they don't have those issues. We do not have that same opportunity. We don't operate in that same space. And you need to be able to help the man that looks just like you. Or if you have the opportunity to be able to help, do so. And I feel like we need to continue to do that as a community. We need to be able to help each other. If I see you struggling, I can help. Why am I sitting here looking at you struggle?
Yes.
And we don't do enough of that. And that to me is the first part that we could do in terms of action.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. It's almost like, I love what you were saying because Eric, it's almost like dying to your ego a little bit. Yeah. Dying to your ego, dying to your flesh, dying to selfishness, dying to being self-centered. It's like, no, I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to convey my resources because you may pass me. So what if he does pass you? If one makes it, we all make it. If one makes it, then really steward that so he can be the representative or we can stay in our own lane. It's room at the top for folks, right? The top is not just curated for one person. So I absolutely love what you're doing. You guys, we are going to get into some fireside questions that it's going to heat up, honey. We're going to get into some fire questions that I have from my friend over here, Eric Keith. And of course, we are going to get into details of the Quintessential Gentleman passion projects he has coming up, where you can find him, where you can support the magazine, some reputable folks that he's interviewed, and so much more right after this commercial break. You're watching the AM Show, folks. Keep it locked. We'll be right back. There he is. Look how sharp our guest is for this morning. Welcome back to the AM Show, everybody. Judea Hartley here. And of course, we are in the second half of our incredible interview with Mr. Bossman. Mr. Bossman himself, Mr. Eric Smith, who is the CEO of the Quintessential Gentleman issue. You guys can see that right here. And before this commercial break, Eric, we were talking about making space for men of color, empowering men of color, telling their stories of perseverance, how they can curate and maintain access, just so many things. Now, I know that the first publication was in 2018. 2018, and since that year, you have interviewed some reputable folks. You should be proud of yourself. You really, really should. From DC Young Fly to Mr. Keith Powers, I see. Tell me what it was like really solidifying Keith Powers as a guest.
So Keith Powers was actually really great. He was doing a partnership with, I believe, a grooming brand out there, and he really was talking about in his story about his hair and his relationship with his hair, which I think is not something that black men talk a lot about. You know, there's so many different variations. I think clearly we don't get it as much as women do, but there are things that we're trying to do now. I think men are very much into grooming. We want to look good. I know my haircut bill is definitely gone up, and it's every week and every 2 weeks, and we can have a conversation about that. But that's for another day. But the conversation with him was really, really great, and we're so happy to have him a part.
I love that, and I see on the front cover, you guys, just fantastic. You have Mayor Andre Dickens. Here it is, y'all. There we go. On the front cover. Okay, how did you score that, and what was that experience like?
That was amazing. We'll talk to our publicist. Our publicist, Dane Young, definitely reached out to the mayor's office. For me, I wanted it. We started to do more in Atlanta. That's one of our base markets, so based here in New York, but also starting to move into Atlanta to really start doing more grassroots. And one thing I wanted to make it known is that we are here. So when we had that conversation, was able to solidify the mayor on the cover. It was phenomenal. And Atlanta is the Black Mecca. It's the Black Hollywood. We are growing there. It's such a great space. And Mayor Dickens is doing an amazing job, just making sure we have the infrastructure, making sure that he's championing entrepreneurship in the city. I just love Atlanta, and I love what he's doing for the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of really creating change in the city, right? Networking, relationships, maintain reciprocity, pouring back into that brotherhood which you have created that's much larger than a circle. Now, I was flipping through the Quintessential Gentleman, and I love that it's almost like therapy. It is, Eric. I don't know if you know that, but we're getting ready to slap another fee because this is a therapy session. You really speak about reasons to become more self-aware, because if you don't do internal inventory, then how are you going to be effective to anyone else? And you provide these tips. I'm going to read a few. I love this. You can change your ways. You need to change your ways. Failing to plan, that's another way, that's another downfall. Power and influence, seeing yourself clearly, and set aside time. All right, really chop up this steak, peel this onion.
So, one, self-awareness.
Yeah.
You have to know how you feel for yourself. How are you when you're walking every day? Are you confident? Are you feeling like you can take over the world? Not saying every day, because every day is not peaches and cream.
Right, lollipops and sunflowers, it's true.
Sunny out, you know.
Right.
But being self-aware, what are the things that you are doing that, maybe are bad habits, or maybe how it happens to somebody else, or how you're presenting yourself, or how you're speaking to someone else. You have to be self-aware. So these various tips that you've listed there will help you. Also, I always talk about therapy, making sure that you're speaking to someone. Then also making sure you give yourself time and space. We're in a very digital world. Social media, your phone is glued to your hands. Sometimes you have to break away from that. I get into a routine. Routine is so important to me. You have to really be able to, you wake up in the morning, all right, my phone is there, I'm not going to touch it. Let me go to the bathroom, let me brush my teeth, let me go to the gym, let me do yoga, let me meditate, let me do any of those things before touching your phone. Businessman, I'm always on my phone. All my business, digital agents, all on my phone, and all I'm doing all day is on the phone. So if I can, in the beginning, give myself some time before I lock in, it's always beneficial.
I love that. And I have to say, Eric, I love that the magazine is versatile. So not only are you highlighting men who are entrepreneurs, men who are your everyday working, because I don't think anybody's average, everyday working men who are business owners, fathers, pastors, lawyers, teachers, sons, brothers. Not only are you highlighting everything that they're doing, you're also highlighting what they can do to become better. You're also giving them business tips. You're also really just instilling in them the importance of self-care. You also have some faith elements going on. You got some therapy sessions going on. You have some tips to provide access to them so they can elevate socially, financially, spiritually, and mentally. You are a hub. Okay, honey. The Quintessential Gentleman is a hug, and I know that mentorship is very, very important. So I want to ask, who's been a mentor for you?
So, I always think of mentors and then role models kind of simultaneously, right? I look at them as the same. My parents, role models for me. I believe that, they work very, very hard. My work ethic comes from my mother. My analytical thinking comes from my father, but they've always championed me to be great, do this. My father is a big supporter of the Quintessential Gentleman.
Hey, Dad.
And just Pops. So he's always on me about making sure I do right. But then also I have mentors who are in the space that I've learned from. I have John Gibson over at Motion Pictures who become a mentor to me in that space. I think it's important to be able to speak to people who are either in the same space as you or ultimately doing something that you want to do. I think a lot of times you respect people and you think it's great that they're doing, but are you interested in doing that same thing they're doing? Because they can only help you for as much as the path that they know. So I think for us, it's always important when you find mentors, you find people who are either you want to do what they're doing, you're curious about what they're doing, or you see yourselves in them and just trying to ask questions. I think we don't ask enough questions. We're not inquisitive enough. How'd you get here? How did you like it? What's going on? Let's figure it out so that you can figure out how you can go ahead on your path.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that you said that folks are not inquisitive enough, because I concur. And I think one of the reasons why is because people have too much ego. You're afraid to say you don't know. So what are we going to do? Are we going to be a slave to our ego and continue to be in the ignorance? Or are we going to suspend our ego and really humble ourselves and ask questions?
And grow.
And grow. And speaking of growth, one of the other elements that you really advocate for is healing through dialogue. Now, I love when I see a YouTube channel, a magazine, this is my new favorite one, a podcast, just any media outlet that really preaches about the importance of Black men, men of color, opening up about their feelings, their emotions, how they overcame, what is their blueprint in terms of moving forward, their trauma and unpacking it. How can men of color heal through dialogue? Love that.
So Actually, a friend of mine's, Quentin, he created with one of his friends this space for Black men to really just be vulnerable. And vulnerability is not something that we speak enough with, especially, let's just say, with men as a catch-all. And he created this space to be able to have authentic conversations with no fear of rejection, no fear of judgment. And when I joined one of his events, it was eye-opening. I said, I gotta interview you. I gotta talk to you. I gotta figure out how you created this, but then also give people the blueprint if they wanted to do that on their own to be able to have those type of conversations. And it's really going back to making sure your circle is a real circle.
Yeah.
Your friends that you say are your friends are truly your friends through the good, through the bad. There's no competition, which so many times gets really interesting within friendships. There's no judgment. You know, I care for you. I want you to do better, but I'm here for you. And also being able to have people that you can call on when you need help.
I love that. Oh my goodness, you were speaking, and I have to be honest, Eric, I remembered a YouTube clip that I saw of Oprah.
Okay.
Of Oprah and Gail. And Oprah actually said something similar to what you just said. She said, let me tell you something. You will not be able to have a friendship, any kind of relationship with anybody who has this much jealousy towards you. I don't care if it's 0.2%, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work because, Eric, their jealousy is gonna come out in their lack of support and their lack of communication. They'll try to steal from you. They won't honor the work that you're doing. So I love that you mentioned really just honing in on formulating a brotherhood. Now, you have achieved so much already. I know you got a lot of other great things happening in your future. I speak that, I believe that. But I'm curious, how does faith and struggle simultaneously impact your business?
So to even have a business, you have to have faith, especially being a Black man in America. I have to get up every day and know that I can do this because it's not easy for me.
Yeah.
I don't have the funding that my counterparts have. I don't have the resources and the knowledge. I have to work 10 times harder to be able to produce the things that I produce. So, you know, started this magazine 2016, paid for everything myself.
Wow.
You know, I had to build a team. I had to be able to invest in the product that I wanted to create. This wasn't handed to me.
Right.
No one said, here's the blueprint, go do it.
Right.
So I had to have faith that what I'm doing it for a bigger purpose. God has been the central part of making sure that, you know, I am even have the mental capacity to think, to move. I had about a year and a half ago, I was just completely not motivated.
Wow.
I had a lot of challenges that have come up in my life, and I just was over it, to be honest. And it was really dark. This is the first time in my life that I did not see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Wow.
I was just in darkness for a period of time, but I only know it's God, the only reason that I came out of it. And now that's why the messages that I get about, you're doing great, this is amazing. Yes, we have followers. Yes, check out our Instagram, our social media. Yes, we deal with celebrities and work with them, and that's all great. But, you know, the messages that I got saying things like, wow, what you posted, you know, saved my life. Saved my life.
Oh yeah.
It could be one person that, you know, that you've done this for, and it makes sense. So for the struggles that you go through, especially as being a Black man in America, you have to be able to have faith to know that you will get out of it. It is better, and then what's meant for you will be for you.
What would you tell the younger version of Eric? 14-year-old Eric, what would you tell him?
Don't be fearful. Don't be fearful. I was so fearful.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do this, didn't with that. I'm scared of what the person's gonna think.
Yeah.
Listen, I talk about high school all the time.
Yeah.
Being in high school, you're so afraid, all these things like that, what you have going on. 10 years, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't see these people.
Say it.
You know,
You better say
you
that
don't.
one.
Everyone has moved on,
You
done
won't
it.
know
None of
them.
that matters. You won't know them. So if I could tell a 14-year-old self is, do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Do it
anyway.
afraid, and look how well you've come out. Now you talk about really being in a dark place and having the faith and the tenacity and the strategy, because you're also very intelligent and smart. The strategy on how to pull through. I'm curious. You've built this thing. How do you pitch to guests? What is your process like to interview them and then you get the publication of it? What's that process like? Because that's PR right there.
Yeah. So we At this point now, majority of the people that we have on our cover, they've reached out to us. They have publicists, they've pitched us. So it's a little different now. But when we were younger, and to be honest, to this day, we still get no's if it's not the right time, the person's not interested, it happens, but it's just a business. But when I was younger, when we just started this, it was really reaching out, telling them the mission. I was like, hey, I would love to interview you. I just need 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If we could just, just talk to you on a phone interview, be able to talk to your guests, be able to produce good work.
Say it.
You have to, you can't just, because you're black, this is what I don't operate like that.
No.
Because you still need to be excellent.
That's right.
You still have to be great. Because if I'm on your show right now, this is amazing.
Oh.
This is amazing. Look at, if you guys can't see this is beautiful and this is excellent. This is amazing. This is going to get other people, yes, because you have good work. Hey, I would love for you to come on my show. I saw it, of course. Why not?
Yeah.
Because you have to put in the work. So in the beginning, I had to, you go through, you're not as great as before. I had to also learn about being perfectionist.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can't have the big thing now, but maybe how you can do this small thing and make that great.
Yes.
And you have to be able to scale that way. So.
Yes, I love it. Just really, really building on that. And speaking of building, Eric, you have done a ton of events, and you mentioned sponsorships and really, really working with some people. Give us the highlight reel. Like, what was maybe one or two of your favorite events, and maybe one or two folks that you were in sponsorship with?
So we did an event during American Black Film Festival in Miami a couple years ago.
Didn't know Eric didn't hear it. Say it again. Eric.
We did an event with the American Black Film Festival during the American Black Film Festival in Miami. It was for our culture issue, and we actually put on an event at the Soho Beach House, which was amazing, and we were able to really have a great conversation. We had a dialogue, an interview with Ben Crump, who was a part of our feature. Had a great conversation with him, and it was really interesting because Miami, everyone's having fun, but the conversations that was being had was so interesting to Black people, and we were serious about it and making sure that we move further and trying to be progressive. And Ben Crump has been a great conversationalist and is, doing what needs to be done to help the people. So that has been an amazing event. We've also we do this thing called mocktails, men of color telling their stories.
Stop
where
it.
We're able to have
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh God, I live. Okay, go ahead. I love that.
So we did that event, and we did it in partnership with a reality TV show, but the dialogue from that was just amazing. So whenever I can get people in a room, live audience, to have conversations, that's actually what we're working on. I'm a transition. The things that we're working on now is doing more of those men of color telling their stories, mocktails, events in person in Atlanta.
See, and that's exactly what I was going to ask you. I know we have to let you go, but that's exactly what I was going to ask. When is this going to be on the road?
Yeah.
When are you going to do a tour? Podcasts and YouTube channels, all of these businesses, they do tours. You need to do a tour, Eric. Atlanta, Chi-Town, LA, Ohio, of course, New York City. You got to take this around the world. I know that digitally it is around the world, but people need to experience this greatness in person. Seriously.
That's a lot of our focus in 2025.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so in conclusion, I know again I have to let you go, but I love what you're doing. So I want to ask in conclusion, how can women show men of color more love?
For me, when they are vulnerable, allow it. Don't judge them for being vulnerable. Listen to them. Listen. I think that we hear TV and all the different medias that, men don't listen to women, but are women actually listening to men? Are they seeing the things and understanding, wow, you're working really, really hard. You okay? Ask him, is he okay? We have to have a real conversation. And I think they also have to allow them to be men as well. That is a space, and whatever that they define that to be.
Lead. Submit. Submit to a smart man that has a plan, that knows what he's doing. I love that. Yes, y'all. I live for this. Now, Eric, Eric, before we head to a quick commercial break, tell people where they can get their hands, right? Because I got my hands on this one, y'all. I'm going to share it with my father, my brother, all of the men in my church. Tell folks where they can actually get their hands on your issue.
Yes, so you can go to our website, theqgentleman.com. All right, you go check it out there, but then also make sure you follow us on our social media channels at theqgentleman. Another good thing I'm so happy about is that on our social media page, on our Instagram page, we really show beautiful black men, men of color, and we're intentional about showing them in a particular way.
Yes, I love it. And you have new issues coming out. How often do they come out?
Quarterly.
Quarterly. You better gather that content. You better gather that quality content and then step on our necks with it. Yes. I love that, y'all. Peace, love, health, wealth, spirituality, access, just really telling your story, shining a light, safety, everything that you need. This is what the Quintessential Gentleman possesses. Now, Eric, I'm going to bother you one last time. I want you to look right in this camera, and I want you to give a word of encouragement to all of our men of color. You can take it away, whatever you want to say.
So, dear black men, know that you are enough. Know that you are good enough, and know that you deserve all of the things that you want. Truly.
I love it. I love it. Show your love, everybody, for Mr. Eric Keith.
Thank you.
You've changed my life sitting here.
Oh, thank you.
You've absolutely changed my life. You walked in with so much gratitude, but now I'm walking out with so much insight. And I appreciate you so much. Y'all, this is Eric Keith, baby. We're going to head on over to a quick commercial break. Y'all, make sure y'all follow my friend now on Instagram so you can get your hands on this gold. Keep it locked, everybody. You are watching The AM Show. We will be right back after this commercial break. Love it. Love it.
Quintessential Gentleman is committed to uplifting and celebrating men of color by sharing their inspiring stories of resilience, achievement, and excellence, creating a positive and empowering narrative across NYC and ATL.